Hey guys, welcome back to another movie review. Before we get started, I know you guys are probably looking at my face right now and saying, "What the hell happened to your face?" I got pretty sunburnt yesterday, and yeah. The reason why also the other light is not on because I just applied some lotion on just so I can, get the sunburn off, and I'm glowing right now, and I'd rather not have that appear on camera. You're still gonna see it a little bit, but it's not as extreme if I have both lights on. So excuse me for the bad lighting, but um, I finally saw Palmer. I know I've been saying on this channel for like at least a month that I was gonna be like, I'm gonna watch Palmer. I'm gonna watch Palmer. Finally watched Palmer, and finally doing the review. So, of course, stars Justin Timberlake, and it tells the story of a now out of prison man, and he is trying to adjust back to life, and he meets this person and they go on a little bit of a little bit of a little bit of not an adventure, but they form this little bond together. This person named Sam, but is an outcast boy, but he likes to dress as a girl and he likes to do girly things, and Palmer played by Justin Timberlake, learns through this kid, a little bit more about how to, just let loose, be a little bit more fun, and not, learning a lot more about love again, all this stuff. And if that sounds very familiar, that is because it's a story that we have seen thousands of times before, but there are some decent things that the film has done that I will address. The first thing off the bat that a lot of people have said is that, yeah, I think Justin Timberlake actually does a fairly good job in the film. I don't think that he does outstanding work here, but I think that he does fair work for what he's given, which we'll talk about the material that he's given in a second. But nevertheless, though, I thought he did a fair job with what he had. I will also say this. I also thought that there was some good wrinkles towards the end of the film. I thought that there was some interesting developments given that I thought branched out a little bit more of the story, and I thought that there was also some fair emotional beats there and there. But beyond that, though, I'm saddened to say that I actually am very, very disappointed by Palmer because beyond those elements that I had just addressed, this is a very generic story. At least it generally feels generic because it resides a lot in a melodramatic surface level type execution, and I don't like that about this movie. I think that this movie could have benefited so much more if they actually went much more rooted, much more deeper, but they decided to reside much more on the surface, and for that I just was finding myself really tuned out of the story. And it's trying to be a very uplifting story as well, but it's a very generic way of representing an uplifting story. And it's so much music for every scene, uplifting montages, the drills when you get into these like cliche type things. At one point I was like, this reminds me of like a Hallmark movie, like a very good budgeted and a decently acted Hallmark film. And I know Hallmark is like bottom of the barrel, but it's like if Hallmark had a decent script and decent actors and a decent budget, like a decent everything, but it's like just decent. Because to sum up my thoughts, I just think the film overall, to put it in a word, is decent. I also found the pacing to be off at points. I thought it just kind of, particularly at the beginning, it felt fairly inconsistent. And one note about Justin Timberlake, I found his accent to be off-putting, and just his voice delivery as well was very. I wish his voice was toned down a little bit because it seems a little out of place when I hear his regular voice coming out. I would wish that he had also added some variety or more or lowered his voice in some manner. But to sum up my thoughts, I think that the beginning of the film sets itself up for a certain tone that could be fair. but then it just turns into this overly generic version of itself that plays too safe and doesn't have enough grit or leverage to get a viewer engaged enough. And as I said, I think Timberlake does the best he can with what he has, but he isn't really working with enough material. Because in essence, if I were to compare this film to anything, I would say in essence this reminds me a lot of The Way Back. Remember The Way Back starring Ben Affleck? Because it lays itself out as an overly familiar story. You know the outcome of the story. You know how all this stuff's going to solve itself. Um, and then it actually starts to bring in some interesting ideas towards the end that you kind of start thinking to yourself, why was this not the basis of the movie to begin with? And then it returns to those familiar roots. It gets what it needs to get across to the viewer, but that's pretty much it. Like I said, some fair emotional beats, but an overly familiar story that just doesn't really find its own place to create a more intimate and interesting story. Because this is a prime example of a surface level story. It's in essence what how they pitch it to you and how they what like basically if someone asked you what the film was about, they can easily describe it to you. And for me, the stories shouldn't have such an easy, you know, way of summarizing. I feel like there should be a lot more variety and a lot more going on in your story to make it, less defined. And I like that. I like that that idea of stories, having less definition to themselves and just telling their own stories as are, versus something like Palmer, which can absolutely be defined, because it's so easy to navigate what Palmer's story is about, and where the story is going, and how these characters are going to unfold, their motivations, their feelings, and it just doesn't have the depth that I was wanting. And like I said, it's a prime example of a surface level story, and sometimes that can work for some films, but in the case of Palmer, I really wish that they went for something much more meaningful and much more impactful. Instead, they just went for something that we all expected. And sometimes the things that we expect out of a story are the things that can actually ruin a story, in my particular opinion.